Hi and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a flip through of the third quarter of my 2025 Project Life album. So this covers July to September. It will go into the second album because this is all of July and then the rest of it is in the second album. So for the start of July, I'm still only doing one page per week, so this is kind of out of sync. So the July starts here, so the 1st to the 6th. So again, I've got yet another craft order. This was Craftlier again, so I've taken a picture. This looks like it's mainly for my wedding album that I'm still in the process of doing. I think I've got 13 albums on the go currently, and this is one of them. So these items are mainly for the wedding album. And then I was watching Sandman, so my husband's seen it and said it was really good, so I'm now playing catch up and watching the Sandman. And then my husband was on about this Lucozade cherry, said it was absolutely nice, so he made me try a bit. So I've just put a little bit in a glass to try, because I don't really drink fizzy drinks, but actually it was really nice. And then I've got a t-shirt, so this one just says French Bulldog Mama, because obviously French Bulldog mad. But then the rest of these are for Comic-Con. So when we go to Comic-Con, we don't dress up, but we do have our photos and that taken. So what we tend to do is we change our t-shirts throughout the day depending on who we're having a photo with. So these are just the t-shirts that I'd bought. I've just got a picture down here of Shelby, just being silly. I was sitting on the sofa and he's just put his head on my knees, and I've just stamped over the top and says, "You make life sweet." And then I've just got a filler card here that says smart, sweet and sassy. And this is just the journaling. It just says another Craftly order has arrived this week. More bits for the wedding album. I also caved, despite saying I wouldn't buy t-shirts for Comic-Con. I bought 5. Plus treating myself to the Frenchy Mama one I'd been looking at for about 4 years. James brought home some cherry Lucozade. I've only ever had the original flavour, so I had no idea they did other flavours. It was very nice and tasted like a cherry lollipop. We're still very much in the middle of a heat wave. Temperatures reached 35 degrees Celsius again this week. It's unbearable. I started watching Sandman, as James said it was good. I wanted to catch up so we can watch the newly released season 2. On Saturday we went to Comic-Con, and then I've just got an arrow that says see journaling. So this is the Comic-Con for the Saturday of that week. So what I tend to do is I have the professional picture that we have taken, and then I have a picture of that person from either a TV show or a film that we particularly know them from. So I tend to do that for all of them, and I just do an insert. So that's my husband, and then I've got this. It was the Showmasters Comic-Con, and it was in Hammersmith. So that's just the just so that I know where it was and who did the Comic-Con. And then I've just got journaling here. It says Comic-Con London. As we walked from the car park to the venue, we couldn't believe how long the queue to get in was. It stretched around the corner and down the next street. Inside was not much better. It was packed and so disorganised. Photo booth B was utter chaos and the staff were very unhelpful. Mel Gibson was miserable and acted like he didn't want to be there. We still had a good time though. Yeah, Mel Gibson, we don't really know what happened with him, whether he had personal issues or whether they'd actually overbooked him and he was doing more photos than he'd originally agreed to. But yeah, he was really, really miserable on the day. I mean, I'm glad I didn't have a photo taken with him. My husband did, but yeah, wasn't really that impressed with him. John Barrowman though, he was really, really lovely. He was really nice with everybody that was having their photos taken, and he was doing poses with them, and if people asked to be lifted, he was saying, if you jump in the air, I'll catch you. So I sort of stood next to him, put my arm around his waist, and he just pulled me into him and just gave me a massive cuddle. So he's just such a nice guy. And then we've got more photos here. So we've got Pom Khalif, Mel Gibson, Anna Schaefer from Harry Potter. Alex Ferns was really nice. I didn't realise, so I knew him from playing Nasty Trevor in EastEnders, and there was the whole domestic violence against little Mo. So when I stood next to him to have my photo taken, and I just said to him in a joking way, "I'll never forget what you did to little Mo." I didn't actually realise, because I was quite young really when all of those episodes were aired, I didn't realise the amount of abuse that he had got at the time from people, because some people just can't seem to separate fiction from reality, and I think people thought that he was genuinely like that. They couldn't separate his character. So I think at first he didn't quite know how to take it, and then I started laughing, and then he burst out laughing. So that's just a picture of us. We're sort of mid-laugh. I think he then realised that I didn't mean anything by it, and that's a picture from him from when he was in EastEnders. And then David Bradley, so I didn't realise, but David Bradley is a massive Aston Villa fan, so my husband took his Villa scarf with him and he got him to pose with the scarf. It was a really good day though, and so it was just a shame about Mel Gibson. And then as we move into the next week, so this is a really busy week. This is our holiday that we took. This is that Sudbourne holiday that my husband had bought me for my birthday. So this first picture is just everything packed up in the car. So we have to take baby gates for the dogs, because otherwise they will go upstairs in the places that we rent. So this was just everything sort of bundled into the car. And then on the other side I've just got a Google map, but obviously it's got my home address on it, so I won't show it. But it was a 2.5 hour drive from where we are to Sudbourne, and so I've just got the dates here. It's the 7th to the 11th of July. I've got a filler card that says vacay vibes. The seaside that we went to was Aldeburgh, so I've just got a magnet. Sometimes I'll get a magnet or something small from places we go to that I can put in a pocket. And we got ice cream, and then we went to Icon to do some canoeing. So these are Canadian canoes, so it was just myself and my husband in the canoe, and it was really hard work. It was about 45 minutes of constant rowing out. We stopped off to get something to drink, and then it was 45 minutes rowing back. They're really heavy, really hard to row. We're used to kayaking, but that was something else. And then we went on a boat ride, so this is just us on the boat. This was the property that we were staying at, so I've just got the outside of the house. So we were there for a few days, and then just some more pictures. The flooring was really weird. It was like a wicker flooring. It's like really not ideal with the dogs, but we did love these shutters. So they're like wooden shutters that like bifold. They did keep it really nice and cool. And then my husband's 6'4", so because it's a cottage, this is the top of one of the door frames, so a lot of them he was having to duck. If he didn't, he would bang his head. And then the garden was absolutely massive. This was sort of like looking from the house down, but there was more of the garden off to the side. And this is just some more. So the kitchen was really nice as well, just some of the decoration. And then I couldn't believe how much they'd left us, like shampoo, conditioner, shower gel, moisturiser. They just left us so much. I mean, we ended up bringing all of that home with us, but yeah, I couldn't believe how much they'd left for us. And then we did some crazy golf. So this is just the golf scorecard. And there wasn't much in it. It was 3 points. So James actually won that one by 3 points. And then not far from us, there was a woodland area called Captain's Wood. So I've just taken a picture in the wood. They had a swing on the tree, so I took a picture of James on like the first day, and then I didn't realise James had gone up to get ready on one of the other days, but the bathroom window sort of overlooked the garden, and he snapped a picture of me on the swing. And this is Nala. Nala's absolutely ball mad, so she'd found this old football and she just stands on it and she literally just rips it to shreds. She's always been ball mad. If she's not ripping the ball, she's laying in the sun, so I've just got a picture of her laying in the sun in the conservatory. And then this was Clyde relaxing in the garden, so he's fallen asleep in my arms. So this night we were actually going to have a barbecue. They had like a small fire pit, and we were just going to have a barbecue on that, and Clyde had fallen asleep while we were waiting for James to finish cooking. And then there was loads of butterflies. So in the conservatory area, they would always fly in and they'd get stuck, so we were just sort of constantly having to usher the butterflies out. But I managed to take some pictures of the butterflies. They had this massive buddleia plant that was just full of these butterflies. And then I'm not sure what moth that was, but that was actually quite a pretty moth. I'd never seen anything like that, so I just took a picture of the butterflies and moths that were there. And then this is just one day, so this is the Sunday, so this is the 13th of July. So it's still within that same week, but I've put all of the holiday together under the 7th to the 11th, and then the 12th was sort of like the day that we sort of travelled back, and we were just at home. We didn't really do anything, so I haven't got any pictures for the 12th. But then this is the Sunday of that week, and we went to the Squid Game experience. So I've just got the poster for it off of Facebook, and then this was the outside, and then some of the inside. And then as you go in, you had a wristband. So this wristband here, and it's got like an NFC tag on it, and you would take a picture, you'd scan that tag and then take a picture, and then you'd have to put in what your bib number was, and then that linked everything up to that band. So then as you played games, you would then scan your band and it would keep track of your score. So you didn't die in it, but depending on how well you did, you'd either scan for green, amber or red, and they had different points values, and then they would work out the winner at the end. And then this picture here is just the picture of us with our mug shots that we'd taken, and our bib number. So I was number 147 and my husband was number 75. And then we just got, at the end of it, we got a picture. So this is just us doing the tug of war. It's one of the other sort of pictures that we had taken on the day. So there was 3 different pictures that we had taken, 3 different backgrounds. And then this is just some of the pictures from it. So this was the glass bridge. So you'd have a sequence that flashed up, and you'd have to remember the sequence, and then you'd have to stand on the right one. If you took a wrong step, then you were out, and depending on how far you got would depend on whether if you passed it, you would scan green. If you got to a certain point, you would scan yellow. I think it was you had to get halfway or just past halfway to get yellow. If you didn't get that far, then you would scan on the red. And then this is just these pictures, but just sort of like the hard copy of the pictures, and say that's the band that we wore. And then this is just a magnet, so it's just the red light, green light doll as a magnet, so I've just put that on the centre. And then once we'd finished the Squid Games, we then got the cable cars over to the other side, and we went to Gordon Ramsay Street Burger. So I've just got a little bit of journaling about the day, and then these are the burgers that we had. So James had the idiot burger, I just had the vegan burger. They actually messed up with the fries, so I'd asked for sweet potato fries, but they'd given me normal fries. And then when we mentioned it to them, they didn't charge us for the normal fries, but then gave us the sweet potato fries. It was way too much to eat, so I ended up bringing back the sweet potato fries. And then this was just the view of the cable cars. So you've got the O2 Arena, or the Millennium Dome as it used to be years ago. So I've just got the pictures. And then here, so I've stamped out the Good Eats card. So we had lunch, the place, which was Gordon Ramsay street burger, and then this is James's comment. So he said that he had the idiot burger, fries and a pepperoni. Lovely food, good service, and much quieter than expected for time of day. So again, I filled out pretty much the same details. I had the vegan burger with sweet potato fries. The waitress put normal fries in the order. When I queried it, she was so sorry and gave me the sweet fries for free. I was so full from the burger that I took the fries home. And then that's just our reservation for it. And then we move into the 14th to the 20th. So I bought a speaker on Amazon, the W King speaker, and I went for the D320 model because it allows you to put a micro SD card in. So you can Bluetooth to it, but then you can also use the SD card. And I wanted to use that so that when we go away with the dogs, they have, it's called Relax My Dog. It's relaxing music. And they have that particularly when they go to bed. But we also use it when we stay away, that if we're going out just for a short period of time, if we're going to go and get something to eat, we'll put the relaxing music on, and it allows me to take the music with me, so that we kind of keep as much of our normal routine the same even when we go away. And it's just really helped with Shelby because he's got really bad anxiety, that I found that being able to play the music just helps him rather than just leaving him in a strange place like if we have an Airbnb, it's somewhere that he doesn't know, it's unfamiliar smells. That's just something that we can keep the same, so that really works. Here is just another, I was at the dentist again, so this is just my invoice for the dentist. So that one I was having work done on that one. This is from my wedding album. So I don't do a lot of traditional scrapbooking, so this was me, like I'd really gone to town on this. Like I'd made all of these roses, I'd cut out these butterflies, all of these leaves, I'd cut them out. So there's a lot of sort of 3D elements on this, so I was really sort of trying my hand at traditional scrapbooking. So I just took a picture of that particular page that I'd done. And then this one says, from time to time James will find certain things that are sort of new, whether it be new flavours and that, and he'll just bring them home and say, like, try this. And he'd found these tomato ketchup flavoured crisps. So it's just a picture of the packet, of the 6-pack of the crisps, just to sort of like, it's detail of what we happen to be eating at that particular time. And then this is vegan sweet and sour chicken with vegan noodles. So that's just a picture of, again, of something else that I was eating that week. It looks like this is again the bathroom, so all the flooring dried out from before, but it's leaked yet again. So we're now back to not being able to use that toilet, which is that's getting really annoying. So I've just stamped over the top that says no way. And this is what I was watching this week. So The Great British Sewing Bee was back on. The Great Plague, which was Rob Rinder and Ruth Goodman. I like both of them, so it's just a poster of that show that I was watching. And then there was another train wreck, so The Balloon Boy. So that was I don't really know whether it was a hoax or not, but the premise of it was there was like a balloon, and apparently the young boy had gone up in this balloon, and he was missing, and it turned out he was hiding at home. So I don't know whether it was all a hoax for fame or what, but so they've been quite interesting series. And then this is just journaling underneath that picture. This week was one of highs and lows. The highs for this week was the arrival of my new wireless speaker, mainly for holidays with the dogs to play their bedtime music, but I'll also use it around the house. I completed a traditional layout in my wedding album and watched good TV. The lows, going to the dentist and the toilet leaking again. I had to call out a different plumber, and he said the fix was a bodge job. He was there for 3 hours fixing the issue. So yeah, we've had different plumbers because we've had 2 different plumbers beforehand, and they've since ghosted. So they've fixed it and then can't get hold of them again. So this is like the 3rd plumber that we've had. I didn't go into any details about what the other plumbers had done, but this particular plumber said that the work that had been done before was a complete bodge, and it was never going to last. So yeah, it took him 3 hours to fix that and stop it from leaking. And then, so this is a similar to the last one. So the next week is the 21st to the 27th of July. So again, we was at another Comic-Con, so this sort of sits, because I'm still only doing 1 page per week. This is sitting in front of the week rather than sort of being sandwiched in between page protectors. So for the 21st to the 27th of July, I've just got a picture. So I really like Celine Dion's music, but I don't have all of her albums, and I tend to sort of listen. I was listening to Courage on Spotify, but I don't want to pay for premium and the ads get on my nerves. So I'd gone on to Amazon initially just to download the Courage album, but then I was looking at other albums of hers that I didn't have, and so I ended up buying 4 albums in total. So I've just got a screenshot of the albums that I'd bought on Amazon, and then I've stamped currently listening on top of the photo. This is a collage again of what we were watching. So there was another train wreck episode on, and then Rob Rinder and Ruth Goodman, they did another one, and so they did the plague before, and then they were doing the Great Fire of London, so I watched that one, and then Insomnia. So that's what we were watching this week. We lost Ozzy Osbourne as well this week, so I've just taken the front page of The Sun, just because it's got details of Ozzy. Then yet another craft haul, so this is Craftlier again, so I've taken a picture of everything that I've bought. Smaller albums, so I've got a lot of the 6x8 albums. They were giving away, I think it was £1, and you got like their beach towel, so I got their beach towel for that particular summer. And then I'd bought a trolley for home, so particularly when we go away, if we're doing a food order, I'll get it delivered to the place that we're staying at, and I'll get it delivered for the evening. So I bought the trolley sort of mainly for when we go away, that when those orders are delivered, we can basically pack the fresh and the frozen stuff in each of those compartments, and then we can just wheel it into the kitchen in one go. But it's actually come in handy for the dogs' food, because I'm ordering like 60 kilos of their food at a time. The boxes are really heavy, so I can put their boxes on that and wheel their food in from the front door, because I need to bring it all the way through the house. But it's nice because it expands. You can either have it just on one section, or you can expand it to the double section. So I've just made a collage of the trolley and just stamped over the top, "This is awesome." And then on the Sunday we were at the Comic-Con, so I've got our wristband for the Comic-Con, and then I've just got their poster for it, so it was Manchester Comic-Con. And then these are the photos that relate to it. So I've got best day ever, and I've put Sunday the 27th of July. And then it's really nice because sometimes you'll get people that just dress up in cosplay, and they're more than happy to have their photo taken with you. So my husband went for like a Star Wars one, and then there's me with Hagrid. He was actually really funny, really nice guy. And there's some more, so there's Doctor Who, Daleks, and my husband in front of the Ghostbusters car. And then we always, for Monopoly, they do a lanyard, so we'll always pre-order the lanyard. It has the dates for the Comic-Con. They do like a poster with their guests, and then you'll always have the floor plans, and you'll have the times and who's going to be at which booths and things like that. So although we don't use it on the day, because they give you details about a week before the event, we'll always plan it out beforehand, but we still do always get the lanyard just because it's nice to have in the scrapbook. And then again, these are the pictures. I did the same as before. We have our professional photos, and then we have a picture of that person in the series or in the film they were in. We have like a character picture, so I'd always do that for the Comic-Cons. So it's a picture of me with Sean Austin, my husband with Valerie Curry, me with Valerie Curry. So again, we know them from different things. So obviously I know her from Twilight. So it is nice if we are both having a picture that you get the different pictures of what they've been in for each of us respectively. Erin Moriarty, Nathan Mitchell, Colby. It's just nice to look back on. We do have the full-size pictures of those in their own album, but it's nice to have the 6x4 photos as well in the album. And then this is the end of July, so the 28th to 31st. So I've got Clyde there with the stamp. It says stay positive. This week Clyde's back went again. So he has this from time to time. So where he's got spinal issues, his back will go, it'll go into spasm. It does sort itself out within a matter of sort of 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, but it is quite scary when it happens. So his back had just gone, and then he was just knackered afterwards, so it's just him on the sofa. Bear had an eye ulcer as well this week, so there's Bear. So I've got another stamp, it says life is rough. Another craft order, so I haven't got a picture of the items that I'd ordered, but it's a picture of my basket, so it contains everything that I've ordered and how much it cost. So yeah, I can't believe how much craft supplies I've been ordering. Was watching the Osbournes, so when we went away we happened to catch a couple of episodes of the Osbournes that was on TV. My husband was then like, oh, we should start watching the Osbournes from the start, so we started watching the entire thing right from the start. Also watched Facebook Honey Trap, and I wasn't sure if I was going to like it, but the Harry Potter Wizards of Bacon, so it was all Harry Potter themed, but people, they were really pushing the boundaries of what they could create. It was quite amazing, really. And then I've just got a filler card here that says family. And then, so the end of the week this is everything that I had packed for us. We were going away again, so this is just a picture of everything that I've got together, ready to go in the car. We always take so much with us with the dogs. But that's the end of July. I'm just going to pause the video and get the second album, and then we'll do the next 2 months. Okay, so this is volume 2 of 2025. So I've taken that Squid Games experience photo, and then I've blown it up to a 12x12 and then cut it up so that it fits in each of the pockets. So I've got my 2025 and volume 2. So looking back, I would have preferred it if I'd actually put the months that it covers on the front page, but so I've just got on this second page, I've just taken patterned paper and put those in the middle pockets, and then I've cut out of craft foam the letters and just spelt out the year so far, and then just taken pictures from the previous album, because it looks like I'm still only doing 1 page per week, and I've got the insert here for our holiday, so I needed something to fill the back page. It was kind of nice just to sort of do an overview of the previous album, especially since this year's the first year that it's been split into 2. So I've just got the first pictures, just us when we did the Villa Stadium tour. The next, I've done a collage. It's Clyde's first outing in his stroller, Shelby when he turned 3, us when we went out for a meal with friends, and then when Clyde and Bear turned 8. And then here's the holiday insert. So obviously the last page of the last album, I had the picture where I'd got everything together ready to pack in the car. So this now is the holiday itself, and this is the 1st to the 3rd of August. So I've split it up, so I've just got the holiday as like an insert. We got married on the 2nd of August, so this is like just a little mini getaway for us. So I've got the picture of the cottage, and then I've got a label, it says Getaway, and I've given it a 4-star rating, so that's my rating of the Airbnb. And then here's a QR code. So my husband's quite funny, he'll do like a walk round of the accommodation that we're in, and he sounds like an estate agent trying to sell. So I always include the walk rounds that he does. And then I've got a filler card here that says let's just chill, and then this is where we were staying, Knoll Cottage, Burnham Market. And then this is a picture of the outside of the garden. It's immaculately landscaped, so the cottage is here, so this is looking down the garden back at the cottage. And then it's become a running thing with cottages and my husband where the door frames are always too low for him. Unfortunately, this isn't as low as the previous cottage that we stayed at, but he'll always show just how low the door frames are and the fact that he has to then bend down for them. And then just a couple of pictures of the bedrooms. And then on the next page I've got a filler card that says laughs more, worry less, which sort of fits in with the fire pit. So this is the end of the garden, and they had a snug and the fire pit. It just looks like a little hobbit house. So the snug is here and the fire pit is here. So it's a fire pit in the centre, and then you just have seating all the way around, and then the same with the snug, you have seating all the way around, and there was a TV and that in there and some bean bags to sit on. And then I've got a picture of the fire pit itself. So this is my husband cooking for us that evening. This is the picture of the snug and some more of the fire pit. I mean, it's really hot in there, like when you opened it up, like the heat just hit you, but you could open the windows. And then this is pictures of the outside. So there's the hot tub. So you've got a little archway here and the hot tub, and the sauna is just through there, and you've got lovely views of the fields. There's like nothing around us. So there's a picture of the sauna. James had never been in a sauna before, so he couldn't wait to get in there. And then just some pictures of it all lit up at night. So there's the sauna, there's the snug and the fire pit. And then I've just got an envelope with the cards in for our anniversary. So that's the card that I got my husband, and then the card that my mum got us. And then this is the week of the 4th to the 10th of August. So my husband changed his car. He went for a slightly bigger Alfa, so I've just put a post-it note here because it covers up the reg plate of his car. We watched the next series of Wednesday, so I've just got the poster for Wednesday there. There's a picture of Bear, so he'd gone to the vets. They put dye in his eye, and they have confirmed that he's got the eye ulcer still, so you can see with the green dye, you can see how big it is. It's just like having a mouth ulcer put in the eye. It's really, really painful for them. And then here I've got the 6x8 albums. So what I've done is I've decided that the dogs are going to have an album each. I've got loads of photos and videos of the dogs, but I think it's just nice to be able to put those in albums. I'll do more traditional scrapbooking for their albums, but it'll be nice to document their birthdays and sort of big things that happen for them. It can sort of go in their own albums. And then here's another craft haul. This one, it's another Craftlier haul, so another Spanish order. And I've ordered more albums. So the pink 6x4s are albums that I use for my husband and I, and then the grey ones are the dogs' albums. So I tend to buy albums in bulk when they're in stock because I want all the albums to be the same colour. I don't want to be swapping albums, so I just make sure that I've got enough albums to continue into. And then this is Bear's eye ulcer 4 days later. So now it's just 2 circles rather than here where it was quite big across his eye. It's just 2 patches left a hill, so I've just got a stamp here that says such an improvement in 4 days. And then we move into the 11th to 17th of August. So it looks like on the 12th I was doing training for work. On the 13th we went to the cinema and we saw Weapons, so I've stamped out a movie time card, so got movie Weapons with James, snacks, Starburst, and then notes I've put like the way the story was told from different people's perspectives to see how they all came together. Rubbish ending. It was almost like they thought, well, we need to bring the film to an end, and they ended it. It wasn't a great ending at all, so I gave it a rating of 3 stars, and then the date, which is the 13th of August. And I've got a filler card here that just says, here comes the sun, because this week it was really starting to hot up. And then I've taken a picture of the Google Home Hub, and I've got an arrow pointer to it because it says 32 degrees. And then this picture is where James had recently changed his car. It wasn't until he was coming home one evening when it was dark. He knew that he had puddle lights, but he didn't realise that the puddle lights were actually the Alpha logo. So he took a picture of it so that he could show me what it looks like. And then here's a picture from the 13th. So I've got Shelby in his cooling vest, and I've just stamped over the top and it says let's cool off with the sunshine behind it. This is still the same week, so this is the first week where I've gone into a double spread. So I've just got a filler card here that says keeping cool. And then I've got another filler card here. I've actually put this stick on, it's just a plain filler card. And the stick on it says take time to do what makes your soul happy. And then I've got the picture here, so we're off to another Comic-Con in September, and Linda Hamilton had been announced. So I'd bought the autographs for both myself and my husband for her for when we go in September. And then here I was doing my wedding album. So I've just got pictures from the reception and then quotes from the speeches, and some of them were quite funny. So the best woman, one of the quotes from hers was, so like 92% of the world I asked Google, turns out you only need 2 things, a sense of humour and selective hearing. And then my sister made me laugh. So as part of her speech, she put, life will be full of surprises, like coming home from work to find your 4 French bulldogs excited to see you, when you could have sworn you only had 3 when you left that morning. So the story with that is, when we did only have 3 French bulldogs, and I got the 4th one without telling my husband, and he came home to a 4th. He was really good about it. But yeah, that was when we got Nala. She's biological grandmum to 2 of my boys, and I'd taken her on from the breeder. And I can remember I brought her home, and then I phoned my mum and I'm like, Mum, I've got another French bulldog and I haven't told James and I don't know what he's going to say. And I was really panicking about what he was going to say when he came home. So that's kind of gone down in history for sort of what I'm like when it comes to the dogs. And then here, this is Brody's album. So this was the first spread that I did for him, and it was a photo shoot that we had in the garden back in 2018. So I've just taken a few of the pictures and then I've backed them onto brown card, and then I've put foam behind them so it lifts them off the pages, and I've stamped across here. And I've just put a title of photo shoot in the garden, and then I've put the date. I actually really like that page. I've done something similar for the other dogs for theirs. Theirs is only 1 page though, because I didn't have I had more photos for Brody than I had for the other dogs. And then we watched Vivarium on the TV. So again, I've got another movie card. The snacks we had was crisps, and notes I put different, a bit strange, not really sure what to make of it. Aliens using humans to raise their young, and I only gave it 2.5 stars. I wasn't that impressed with it. And then I've just got a journal card here, but that journal card covers the whole week. And then as we move into the next week, so this is the 18th to 24th. So again, I've done a double page, so it's starting to get a little bit more busier now. In my album I've got more photos. So again, I've got another craft haul. That looks like it's a paper maze one again. I became hooked on Weetabix. I've not had Weetabix for years, and then I just had them one morning for breakfast, and then it was like every morning I had to have Weetabix. So it's just a picture, and I've just got a label, and it says hooked on Weetabix. And I've got a filler card here that says good things come in small packages, which is referencing to my craft supplies. I'd gone to the hairdressers and I'd had new colour, so I'd had like a dark purple put underneath against the blonde. So I've done that a couple of times since. I do like that. Did we go to the cinema? I think we watched this one on TV. We were going to watch it at the cinema, Heart Eyes. And then I've done another movie time one. Notes I put, Scream movies set at Valentine's, nothing special. I guess the cop was involved, wished it was better, and I only gave it 2 stars. So it was kind of a Scream rip-off, really. I've just got a filler card here, and then again, the 20th of August, it was another wellness day, company wellness day, so we get the day off. The idea is you concentrate on your own mental health and do something that's just for you. And then at work, I signed up to the mentor program, but again, it's got company branding on it, so I've covered that up. I was at the dentist again. This time it was just a regular hygienist visit, but I've covered that up because it's got my address on it. We watched The Truth About Jessie on Netflix. I've got a filler card here that just says documented. So this is one that I've made myself and then just printed out on regular paper. I've got another shaker pocket here, so I've just taken the colours from the page and then I've cut out in foam. It just says create, so I've got just a few creates in there with the sequins. And then I was watching the Matthew Perry, A Hollywood Tragedy, so it was just looking at the circumstances in which he died. And then I've got some journaling here, and it's just a pull out. It's double page. I won't read it out because there's references to the company and some personal information on there. And then this is the end of August, so the 25th to 31st. I was watching After You've Gone on TV. I'd ordered, so when we went out for a meal with friends previously, one of the ladies had said that she was in a car accident and basically the van driver was at fault. He was on the inside lane of the roundabout and then he wanted to exit the roundabout and he just completely cut her up and sideswiped her. But there was no video evidence from either of those, so it was kind of he said, she said as far as the insurances were concerned, and it went down as partial blame on both. So we happened to talk about dash cams, and I used to have a dash cam years and years ago. It's just a cheap Chinese one. It did the job, but then I'd bought so it's really expensive, but I bought the Blackview one from Halfords, and so this was just my order, and I then went down there to collect it. I ended up getting it professionally fitted in the end because I could fit it myself, but it was more the camera at the back. I didn't want any cabling hanging down that the dogs could get caught in or pull on. So I needed it professionally installed so it all goes through the roof line and it's all tucked away neatly. And then we went to the dog field. So this is just James and I at the dog field. It was really early in the morning because it's still quite warm. So we took them out early in the morning, James being silly. And then just the dogs, we found a shady spot and it's just the dogs. They've got their cooling bandanas on. And then this was from a previous order, from a scrapbook.com order. It says, I don't have too much paper, my house is just way too small. So I've just taken that card and then I've just put it onto a purple coloured card just to make my own filler. I've got a filler card here that says collecting memories, and then this is the scrapbook.com order. So I was really struggling to get the pocket pages from my normal UK companies, so I ended up buying them from scrapbook.com, but because you have to pay shipping, I ended up buying quite a few just to make use of the shipping, and obviously it takes a while to get here from the States. Just a journal card about the week. So this was Clyde. So in the summer he'll go and lay on the lawn, and I have to keep going out there and checking him and making sure that he's not overheating. So I was just journaling about that, saying that Clyde spent a lot of time in the garden laying on the sunshine. I bought a very expensive dash camera now that I need to get professionally installed. I placed my first scrapbook.com order last week and it arrived from the USA this week, which was amazing. On Saturday, James took me to another Villa ladies game and I had my first football food, which was chips with a lot of vinegar. So that was the ladies Villa game. And then I was watching The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So somebody at work has said it was really good, so I just started watching that series. And then we move into September, so this is the 1st to 7th. So I've just got a filler card here, so it was quite autumnal. And then I was updating the Fox Angels webpage. And then I was printing out medication labels. So there's sometimes when we send out medications for like mange and things like that. So I was just printing out the labels. And then I did a dog food order and I wasn't home when it arrived. So they left it on the drive. That's the condition that it was in when I got home. Like the box was completely ripped open and loads of food had defrosted. So I had to get in touch with the company and get them to send out replacements. And then this was just what we were watching on TV. So I was watching The Jury Murder Trial Season 2 and Last Straw. And then we do the Pissed Up Panto. So that's just a programme from the Panto. And then I've just got a video that goes with it. So this particular one, James got pulled up on stage and he had lines that he had to read. It was a really good sport, but you can only film the very end of the panto when they do the last song. So it's just a video of the last song. And then in preparation for Comic-Con, we started rewatching the Terminator films. So that's what that is. My mum messaged me, so somebody had sent loads of gifts for Fox Angels, but it went to a veterinary practice. So, and because the veterinary practice was close to me, I drove out there to collect all the Amazon parcels. I reboxed them up and then sent them back on to my mum, and she then redistributed everything to the rescuers. James had found these McCoy's secret burger sauce flavour, so he brought those home for us to try. And then Krispy Kreme were doing their limited edition Harry Potter donut, so I've got the box for the Sorting Hat donut. So then I've just put the different ones that they had for Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Slytherin and Ravenclaw. So then that's a picture of the box. So when you open the first lid, that's what you next see. And it says, what will your donut reveal? And then this was the donut itself. And then when you bite into it, it has a different coloured centre. And then based on the colour of the centre, that's what house you're in. So mine was Hufflepuff. And then these are the main donuts they had for the houses. And then these were just the extra two to make up the box. And then this was a busy week, so this is the 8th to 14th of September. So we had some time off, James and I, so we did the Traitors experience. So that's just a poster for the experience. This is a picture of us, the picture of the round table. And then was watching The Inheritance on TV and also the Great British Bake Off. And this is one of the gold coins from the Traitors. It's quite heavy, so to sort of help take the weight and stop it from moving around, there's actually a magnet behind. It's just a plain green wooden effect card. There's a magnet behind there, and then that just attaches, and it allows it to sort of float in there, but without falling all over the place or without losing it. And then we went to watch Miriam Margolyes. She was doing an A to Z tour, and James had found this underground car park, and they had this wall, and he'd asked specifically if he could reserve that parking space so that he could have a picture of his car against that graffiti. Then we did the Legend of the Titanic, so this is just the physical pictures from the Legend of the Titanic. What I didn't realise is with places like, and I did it with, once I'd realised with the Titanic, I then did it with the Jurassic World. You get a card and then you scan the QR code on that card, and every time you have a picture taken, you scan that card and it basically gets added, and then you can get the photos printed out. You can actually scan the QR code on those cards, and then you can order just the digital copies of the photos, and it's actually a lot cheaper than getting the hard copies of the photos. And these, they're never going to be framed, they're never going to be seen, they're just going to sit here. So having learned that, that's now what I do going forward, is I just get the digital copies of the photos. So we did the orbital slide. We'd planned to do this a year or so ago, but they closed it for refurbishment, and then they finally opened it again. So we did that slide, Queen Elizabeth Park in London, and I've got the stats for it here that I've printed out. It's 178 metres in length, it's 78 metres tall, it contains 12 loops, and you hit speeds of 15 miles an hour along the slide. There is actually a video that goes along with it of me and James going down the slide. It takes your breath away at certain parts, just how fast it goes. It was definitely an experience. I think it only lasted about 60 seconds or something. It's a really short slide, but it is really fast. Then we've just got the wristbands that we had. I got the pin badge for it, and I've just put that on foam. And then this is from the lockers. So they give you a token. You put your bags and that in the lockers because you can't take them up with you. But the tokens, when you open the locker again, they just fall into the bottom, so you can reuse the tokens. The lockers don't eat them. So I grabbed a token before we left. And then this is the Jurassic World. So because it was all sort of in the same area, we just did it sort of back to back. So we did we hadn't planned to do it, but we were just there, so we thought we'd go and do it. Some of these photos, they're like short videos, so that's what that QR code is. It's the videos that go with that. And then I was watching I Fought the Law. I really like Sheridan Smith as an actress, so I blew up the poster and then cut it in half, so it covers 2 pockets. And then this was the Legend of the Titanic, so I'd got the magnets. I'd bought a set of magnets, and then I've just stuck them onto a piece of card and put them in the pocket. And then this is the poster for the Legend of the Titanic, and I've just done a flip up, and then it's just got the pictures from the day. And then that is the card that they give you with the QR code, and then you scan that QR code before every photo. So that's what I then use to get the digital copies of these. And then we move into the 15th to 19th of September. So again, I've kind of split the week up because the 15th to 19th was when we were away on holiday. So I've done that as one section. And then we didn't do anything on the Saturday, but then on the Sunday, it was the 50th wedding anniversary of my aunt and uncle. So I've got the insert for their anniversary for the Sunday. There's nothing for the Saturday. And then the holiday is the Monday to Friday, and I'm okay with the fact that there's one day that's not documented. It's kind of an odd day really. So we went to the forest holiday, so we went to Sherwood Pines, and while we were there we did Go Ape again, which I'm pleased that I do it, but I absolutely hate it. For me it's like an hour and a half of sheer hell. I don't like the heights, I don't feel safe at all, and I strap an action camera to me and I film the whole thing, but I do have panic attacks on the video. This is the first one that we did, so I did have quite a few panic attacks on this one. Because I do the Go Ape, my husband did the pony trek. He doesn't like horses, so he was being led round on the trek. Because I'm a proficient horse rider, I was allowed to go around on my own. And then for the Go Ape, because I've done the Go Ape and you get a certificate at the end, you can also get stickers, so I will grab a sticker. Every single one that's available, not the birthday one, but I'll grab all the other stickers. So this one just says Go Ape, I went outside today, and then this one, Zipline Hero. I don't mind the zip lines, it's just everything else the Go Ape that I don't like. And then we do have a few barbecues as well while we're there, so that's my husband doing the barbecue. That's another picture of us on the Go Ape. And then so in here is just the wristband and our certificates for the Go Ape, the equestrian centre that we went to. So all of this side is holiday related, and then that side they took the Time of Your Life song and then they rewrote the lyrics all relating to my aunt and uncle for their anniversary. So this whole double page is all the holiday that we had. So this again is my husband doing his estate agent walkthrough of the cabin that we had. The swan towels that they left on our bed, and then I've just got a filler card here that said life is good in the woods. And then I've got another filler card here that says this week was amazing, relaxing and fun. This was in the cabin. It was one morning, so I'd brought a cup of tea in to my husband and we were just sitting in bed chatting, and the dogs came into the bedroom and Bear and Nala both curled up in my husband's suitcase and fell asleep, which they've never done before. They've never got into a suitcase, so that was just, it was one of those moments that we're just sort of lucky to capture. And then this week we were also watching The Guest and The Rumour. And then I say this is the Sunday of that week, so we were back home and this is the afternoon tea 50th anniversary. So I've just put post-it notes here because it's got mobile numbers and email addresses of my aunt, and also the location that we went to. And then it's just me and my husband, and then this is my aunt and uncle, my mum and my stepdad. And then I've just, this was, they had some confetti on the table, so I just took the 1975 and the 50 for their anniversary. And then this is the end of September. So I've got my title card here. It says the 22nd to 30th of September. This is a manhole cover that we've got on our driveway, and my husband kept complaining, so the downstairs toilet, when you flushed it, it would start to backfill, and it was getting quite scary as to how close it was getting to the top. And he kept blaming me, saying I'm putting too much down the toilet, and I'm like, it's not me. And he's like, but it happens after every time you've been in there. And it turned out when he had a look on the drive, the manhole cover had rusted away, and it was actually pieces of the manhole cover had fallen down into the pipe work, and it was that was blocking the pipes, and that was what was causing it to backfill. So once he'd pulled all of that out, it was then fine, but we did have to replace that cover obviously to stop it from happening again. So we ended up, we got the waterboard out, got them to check it. They've confirmed it's our responsibility, not theirs, but they also told us what type of cover that is so that we could order the correct one. I was reading Divergent, so I've seen the films but never read the books, so I started reading the books this week. I like to buy the dogs natural treats and things, so this was the natural Dentasticks, so it doesn't contain any nasties. I think it might be vegan, but it's all natural, and I'm hoping that will again help freshen their breath, because their teeth aren't actually bad at all. And then I got the dash cams fitted in the car, so this is just a picture of the front and back of the dash cams where it's been fitted. And then the 27th and 28th, this again was the weekend, we had another Comic-Con, so we were at Telford for this Comic-Con. So again, I've got the lanyard that we always get for the Comic-Cons. And this first page is just some pictures from around the venue. So this guy was really funny. He's been at quite a few of the Comic-Cons, but he seems to think he's a bit of a celebrity. And we were standing in line waiting for our photos, and he was harassing everyone, really sort of asking them to get a picture with him, which, I mean, he was good at the cosplay, but it's kind of like if people want to have a picture with you, they'll ask you. But yeah, he was just trying to pull everyone aside to get a picture. So my husband ended up having a picture with him. Me with the police box. That's from The Matrix. And then that's the car from RoboCop. So then these are the pictures that we had. So me with Robert Patrick. So I know him from the X-Files, so I've got the picture for the X-Files. And then Linda Hamilton, she was like one of the nicest people. She took time for everyone. If she was walking between her autograph booth and the photo booths, people were calling out after her, and she was stopping and she was waving at them. So she was just really, really nice lady. And so was Kat Graham. So I know her from Vampire Diaries, but she had music going in her booth, and she had a mirror propped up on a stool, and if anyone wanted to check their hair and that before having their photo taken, she was letting them sort of take time just to make sure they were happy before they had the picture taken. And then I've just got a little bit of journaling. So I've put on Saturday, 28th of September, we went to Comic-Con. I think this was my favourite so far. The highlight for me was meeting Linda Hamilton. She was genuinely a really lovely person. When I got her autograph, I asked her to write her favourite quote from the movie. She thought about it for a while and then said, "Whenever you're having a bad day, look at this and say, 'On your feet, soldier.' That meant the world to me, more than she'll ever know." So then this is the autographs that we had. So Linda Hamilton, and say she put, "On your feet, soldier," and then Robert Patrick. And then this was my husband, so the autograph that he had for Linda Hamilton, and then he's got a figure for the Terminator, so he got Robert Patrick to sign the box of his figure. So my husband with Linda Hamilton, my husband with Robert Patrick, my husband with Selma Blair, and then a picture of me with Joseph Marcel, and then a picture of me with Maggie Grace, and a picture of me with Selma Blair. And then it was really funny, James was due to have a picture with somebody else, but they were running really late. So he ended up, because he just wanted to get on the road, Kat Graham was doing another photo shoot, so he just swapped his photo and he went in and had a photo with Kat Graham. And he was like, "Oh, I hope she doesn't ask me anything because I don't actually know her, I don't know what she's been in." But when he went in there and he said, "Oh, my wife had a picture with you earlier," she remembered me having a picture with her. She was like, oh, don't forget to say hi to your wife for me. So she, again, just a really, really lovely lady. Even James says that she was really lovely. And then my husband with Maggie Grace. And then some more from Castaway. So my husband with Andrew Divoff and Jeremy Davies. So then this is the rest of that same week. So I've got the Comic-Con sandwiched in the middle. So Maths UK started. I ordered Christmas cards for the Fox Angels. There's Clyde laying out in the sun again. I cut myself, I think that was on the guillotine. It was actually quite a bad cut. I'd sort of reached through the guillotine and it came down on my hand. And then this is just a journal about the week. So I was saying about the manhole cover, the dash cameras being fitted, the Fox Angels Christmas cards, and then watching The Girlfriend. And then that's it, because we move into October after that. So that's the third quarter for 2025. I hope you enjoyed this flip through. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.